let's see how we're going to get this into this. First of all, we are going to put the pieces face to face, and we are going to sew round all 4 sides, leaving a little gap on one of the sides so we can turn it right side out. Now, if you want your little pot to have a little bit of more rigidity, then it's definitely worth putting a little piece of our super slim batting in here, because that will really help it to stand up a little bit better. So I'm going to take this over to the sewing machine and sew up those 4 sides, remembering to leave a little bit of a gap so we can pop this right side out. So everything is sewn round now, and the last thing I've got to do is just trim off some of the excess pieces of batting that's on the back, and also all of these corners you want to go ahead and double clip those as well before you turn it right side out. So once I've done all that, I'll flip it right side out, press it, and then I'm going to top stitch the whole piece as well. So I'll go ahead, get these all turned out. Okay, so pretty straightforward, the boring bit's done, it's assembled, and if you are going to do anything of fancy pants, like you're going to do some embroidery or add a few embellishments, you don't want to go mad because you obviously still got bits to sew together here, then I would do it at this point, especially if you're going to quilt anything, do it at this point, because what we're going to do from here is we're going to take it, a couple of threads there, let's just get rid of them, and fold it face to face. Make sure that your fold line is where it kind of joins patterns in the middle there, because this is a symmetrical pattern, so that will help you in this next step. So what you're going to do is you are going to take off some corners. Now, however wide you go from the base, that's kind of the square footprint of your base. So if you want it to be a wider, flatter pot, then you're going to come out from kind of here. If you want it to be a taller, skinnier one, then you can come further in. It's entirely up to you. But what I would probably recommend is you come from this white bit here out to that corner there. That's going to give you a good sized pocket, but not so big that it's going to be kind of in your way for anything. And then you're going to repeat the same process going in the other direction and taking that same bit off this side. So just make sure that you keep a note of the points that as reference that you've used to create those pockets, because you're going to be able to use them again for that other side. So let's start on here. I've got some threads there and you just need to get rid of, and want to make sure that we're nice and flat in the center as well, because we don't want any puckers when we come to sew this together. And we are going to go from this point here where the kind of the whitish colour meets the lightest of the blues, and then out to there. Do you know what? Am I going to go a bit bigger? No, I think this is going to be fine, because it's going to give you a contrast to the sample that we've already got. So we're coming from there. This is a heat erasable marker that I'm using, and I'm just marking that on, and then I'm going to use those same reference points on this side. So I've gone just a smidge past there, and then where the white meets the blue, and add that on there as well. Oh, I didn't get that right to the edge, so we're going to go to there. And then I'm going to put clips on to hold these together. When I clip them, I'm just going to fold it over and make sure that my pattern is lined up front and back, because that's again going to give me a much more professional result. And when I'm clipping my fabrics, I'm just making sure that I've got enough space in the middle there to easily pass the foot of the machine through it. So I'm going to clip both of these sides, and then we'll head over to the machine. So we're ready to sew these on the machine, and as you can see, I'm starting at what will be the open edge of the project first, and then working my way towards the folded edge. That's because if I work in the opposite direction, what I can do is accidentally push my fabrics apart. So what I'll end up with is one side sticking up further than the other. And by starting at the open edge, that's not going to happen. And any kind of overedge or underedge is going to be pushed into the centre, which you're not going to see, because I don't know if you can just kind of see this one right in the background. It's going to end up in the kind of bottom of the side pockets, so we don't need to worry about that too much. So we're going to start with this. We're going to do a couple of backward stitches just to make sure we come right off the edge and get a really nice solid fix on the top of there, because that's where your stress is going to be. That's where you're going to be opening and closing it. So then we're just going to follow the line all the way off the edge. Now there's a lot of layers here. You've got 6 layers in total, including 2 layers of wadding. So you might want to hand turn this if your machine is not quite up to it. And then we come right off the edge, just like a dart, and then needle up, and then foot up, and then leave yourself a nice long tail on there so we can get those tied off nice and tight. And then I'm going to repeat the same process for this opposite edge. I'm back from the machine. These 2 side pieces are sewn in, and I just wanted to show you a slight variation on this, because from here the next thing you're going to do is you're going to open it up, fold it in the opposite direction, and kind of line those 2 corners up to start off with, and then mark in those same pieces. So from where the white meets the light blue down to where the white meets the light blue down here, and you're going to mark those in, just making sure that when you line up, you just check on the back to make sure that it's lined up front and back with the pattern that's printed onto there. So let's just clip those in place. And you do the same again, you stitch those 2. Now, with this, I do advise doing these 2 separately, because you'll not get that nice flat layout that you did with your first one. So it's sometimes a little bit better just to lay these 2 out and do them individually. Once you've got those in, what you'll start to see is you'll start to see your kind of shape of your pot coming into form. And what you'll have at the minute is you'll have these 4 sticky up spikes. The little pockets on the side, see, I've done mine a little bit smaller because I wanted mine just for smaller things like seam rippers and pens and things just to go on the side. But the other example that we've got has got much wider ones, and if you've got much wider ones, you may need to just tack those in place down the side, or you could add a decorative stitch. This has been done with a kind of feature whip stitch over the top. Now the last part is these flaps here. Now this one, as we mentioned in the beginning, this has got buttonholes and buttons on. Now you don't have to have that. You can leave yours with your kind of triangles pointing up over, or if you do want to turn them back down but you don't want to add the buttonholes, what you can do is just simply fold it over like that, and then stitch your button in place without having the buttonhole there. So if you want to simplify the project, that's a great way to do it. If you want to add your buttonholes in, as we recommended, the best time to do that is right at the start. But I mean, it is still possible once it's together, because if I just undo this, you'll see there's enough there to be able to get it in and out of your machine if you want to put them in at this point. But that's the last step to your organizer project, and then from there you're all done.